Cleopatra. Last pharaoh of Egypt. She was one of the most attractive women that ever existed in the world. She lived a life full of power, love, and death. For some, she was a manhunter. For others, she was a real queen. Here is the unknown life story of Cleopatra. 69 BC. In the city of Alexandria in ancient Egypt, one of the Macedonian generals of Pharaoh XII, Ptolemos, was called Ptolemaus. In other words, this Hellenic dynasty had been ruling Egypt for 300 years since Alexander. Interestingly, the Egyptian people did not react to this situation, and a family of Greek origin did not even learn the ancient Egyptian language for 300 years. Cleopatra received a good education from her childhood and was always curious about governing the state. So much so that her father, 12 Ptolemaeus, even appointed her as his deputy to rule the kingdom. As she got older, Cleopatra's beauty began to emerge. Because Cleopatra was of Macedonian origin, she was white. She had everything, which made her unique in a geography like Egypt. Her beauty was not limited to her appearance. She was very smart and had a sharp intelligence. She also knew 9 languages, one of which was the ancient Egyptian language, which her family had not even bothered to learn before. In this way, Cleopatra mingled with the Egyptian people and became close with them. He was interested and managed to win the love of all Egyptians. When Cleopatra was 18 years old, her father, King 12 Ptolemaios, died. In her will, her father wanted Cleopatra to marry her 10-year-old brother and rule the country together. This was the family tradition. The Ptolemy dynasty did not marry Egyptians and had marriages within the family in order to prevent their lineage from being spoiled. As a matter of fact, Cleopatra married her brother. 13 idle Elamanos, who was 8 years younger than her, and began to rule Egypt by sharing the throne with him. However, in later times, the 2 brothers and spouses could not get along with each other. Cleopatra was removed from power by her brother and those around him and sent to exile in Syria. Of course, she was the one who would accept this. She was not a woman. One of those who supported her took action against her brother, whom she formed there. Just when war was at the doorstep, Julius Caesar, the sole ruler of the Roman Empire, came to Egypt in 48 BC. Cleopatra was planning to meet with Caesar and influence him, but 13 Ptolemaios and his men would prevent him from meeting Caesar. He could guess with his intelligence. He found a solution for this too. He had his Sicilian slave Apollodorus wrap himself in a carpet and carry him to Caesar's presence. Caesar was surprised when the Egyptian queen emerged from the gifted carpet. He was very impressed by Cleopatra's mind, courage, and beauty. Thus, one of the most sensational relationships in history took place between the Roman emperor and the Egyptian queen. Cleopatra, who made Caesar fall in love with her, killed her brother and his wife, 13 Ptolemaios, in the war with her support and managed to become the sole ruler of Egypt. Cleopatra, who took control of Egypt again, married her younger brother. 13-year-old 14 Ptolemaious, as per the traditions. On the other hand, her relationship with Julius Caesar was continuing, and from this relationship, a son they named Little Caesar was born. Historians think that this rapprochement was a relationship of interest, rather than a great love story for Cleopatra. Because when the couple met, Cleopatra was 21 and Caesar was 52 years old. Thanks to this relationship, Cleopatra was 52 years old. She was dreaming of uniting with the Roman Empire, the superpower of the ancient world, and dominating almost all of the known world. She even saw Caesar's son, as the head of this empire. Cleopatra did not hesitate to kill her other brother and her husband, 14 of them, in order to become the first heir of Caesarea, but she did not hesitate to kill Rome with Caesar. While he was in 44 BC, when Caesar was stabbed to death in the Senate, he had to postpone these dreams for a while and return to Egypt. When Caesar died, the Roman Empire began to be governed jointly between Octavius and Marcus Antonius, who ascended to the throne. The western half of the empire was ruled by Octavius, the eastern half. It was ruled by Antonius. Antonius, who visited Egypt in 41 BC, reportedly fell in love with Cleopatra at first sight. Marcus Antonius and Cleopatra Egypt began to live together, and after a while they got married. He predicted that he would establish an empire. Marcus Antonius's donation of the revenues of some Roman provinces to Cleopatra was the last straw. Cleopatra was declared by the Senate as a culture-spirited woman with all kinds of intrigues in her seductive mind, and the greatest enemy of the Roman people, and Emperor Octavius, who ruled the West. Declared war on the Kingdom of Egypt by the conflicts culminated in the naval battle of the Act the following year. Cleopatra and Antony lost to the forces of Octavian and were forced to flee to Alexandria. It was the end of it all for them both. Antony committed suicide with his own sword in Roman fashion on 1st August, 12 days later. The method of Cleopatra, who committed suicide, was different, like the life she lived. According to rumors, she chose death by getting herself bitten by a poisonous snakey. Caesar and Cleopatra's son, Caesarea, fell into the hands of Octavius. Octavius executed Caesarion, saying there are 2 more Caesars in this world. What is known about Cleopatra today is mostly about her. However, according to some historians, in reality, Cleopatra was not a person at all as described, both in terms of character and physical aspects. Roman historian Bulitar Kos states that she was intelligent and cultured rather than beautiful, and that she was especially responsible for the poor Egyptian people. He wrote that he took many steps to heal her. So what kind of a person was the real Cleopatra? First of all, she was short, had white skin, and her body lines were clear. The most concrete evidence of Cleopatra's physical characteristics is this, made by the sculptor Stephanos, when he visited Caesar in Rome, when he was only 23 years old. The best document about Cleopatra's facial structure is this coin, which is preserved in the Berlin Museum and has a picture of Cleopatra on it. Cleopatra lived a short but full life, and went down in history as the last pharaoh and legendary queen of ancient Egypt.